Welcome everyone to Discourse. Today we're going to be reviewing The Darkest Side of the Moon by MC Ryder. So originally I thought this was going to be like a coming of age story. I mean, it does definitely start off our main character being in high school, a young woman.
Senior
year. So our main character is Nadine and her best friend Camille. They're essentially just kind of going through the motions of everyday high school life. But then a newcomer shows up, and that's Vince. And immediately I just thought, okay, is this the love interest? Because they immediately don't like each other very much, or at least she doesn't.
Camille, instant crush.
I know.
She walks into his homeroom or whatever, right, to get his classes, new guy, joking with him, flirting. But yeah, Nadine, the main character, instantly hates him for some reason. But she kind of looks him up and down, right? She sees his blue eyes. She notices everything he's wearing.
I mean, she definitely looks at him and has that you're this pretty boy or whatever. You definitely know that you're hot, but I'm not going to give it up to you. I think you're sneaky and there's something wrong with you. Because he does kind of bump into her.
She
and
bumped
doesn't
into him.
I know,
she
but
turned the corner fast. And...
he doesn't even apologize or say anything. He's just kind of rude to right off the bat with her.
I don't know, was he just smirking at her?
I don't know. It was just kind of ugh. So I wouldn't have liked him either. I definitely would have felt the same way.
Yeah, she said it felt like hitting a brick wall. But it was just the weird first
meeting.
Yeah. Instant hate on one end with Nadine, and then instant crush on the other end with Camille.
I know, with Camille.
It's pretty weird. But they are like that. They're best friends, and they gave each other necklaces like a yin and a yang.
Yeah, I think they really complement each other well. Like Nadine, she's very let's stick to the rules. I don't want to skip school. Get all my requirements in so I can go to college and submit everything I need to. Just get everything in order. And she doesn't like bullies and things like that. And Camille is kind of, just a carefree spirit, just here to live life and have a good time. So I think they complement each other really well, and I think that's why it works that they're best friends. But it was believable, their conversations they had, the things that they do have in common. They do share a little bit of history that is important to the story.
And they get into a lot of fights, but they get over it real quick. It's
That's what
sisters.
Best friends do. Yeah, sisters, best friends. It happens.
Yeah. So it starts off with them in high school, senior years, last year there. And then Vince comes into the picture, and then instantly he's somehow causing trouble, causing mayhem for Nadine.
Right.
He's always there, always around, always bugging her. But as you mentioned, she has issues with bullies, and she ends up always being in the middle of this one main bully, right? Bullying people around and hurting them. And at one point, I believe Vince saves her.
Right.
And from then on, she still hates him, but she's more like, okay, I guess I'll talk to you. We'll be somewhat friends.
I know. They kind of become a little bit more friendly. They start to get to know one another a little bit more in depth. They have a classroom assignment that they need to do together. So that kind of brings people together, whether they want to or not. But yeah, like you said, it's interesting how she's always finding herself in the middle of violence. Like you said, the bully, trying to beat up on some other kid, bully him around, intimidate him, and she kind of shows up and she's kind of the savior. She doesn't ever cower. She's very brave, which is interesting because I feel like her personality, she's not very extroverted, right? You would assume someone who's brave and stands up to bullies would be kind of more outgoing or more just more vibrant, I suppose.
But no, she just sits with Camille, or Cam as she calls her, in lunch by herself. She reads a lot. She's always by herself, either with herself or with Camille.
Yeah, I think Camille's her only friend.
Yeah, so it's very weird. But ever since she met Vince, she got a bruise. She thought it was from him bumping into him because she bruises easy.
You know what I thought when she said that? This is just my medical mind. I was like, oh my God, does she have cancer or something? Does she have some sort, some form of cancer? Because
She's
people
not
who
healing.
bruise easily. Yeah, and it's like not healing. I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a really sad story.
I know, first chapter.
That's honestly
already,
where I thought it was going.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But since then, that mark never ends up going away.
Right.
But since then, she kind of sees it in herself that before she used to stand up to bullies, but now she's actually standing up to them like face to face.
Like
and
physically. Yeah.
She actually ended up getting physical with one of them, breaking his nose. And that's crazy because she's like this. They don't say how tall she is, but I just imagine like a little
tiny,
petite, bookworm.
I love how she was like, I've never even been taught how to do that. I don't even know how I just did that right now.
So back to Vince.
He ends up, as him and Nadine start to bond and kind of connect, he tells her about this prophecy because she won't leave him alone about like, well, what are you doing here? Like, what is your purpose? So he tells her about the prophecy. It's that the monarch of vampires will meet his doom to the one marked by the dragon eye. So he's there because he is looking for someone who bears that mark, the dragon's eye mark.
Yep.
And it just so happens
that Nadine
is the one with the birthmark on her neck.
It's just kind of funny how the mark didn't come out until she met Vince. So it's kind of like if they didn't search for her, that mark probably would have never came out.
Oh, you make a good point. Yeah, maybe.
Then they didn't have nothing to worry about.
Maybe her coming into contact with them or something had something to do with her, like
kind of forced it,
bringing it out or something. I was wondering if the person who bears that mark also has some sort of like witch blood in their past, like their ancestors or something. Because I know that was kind of a thing too, was the witches and the vampire thing.
But yeah, they talk about witches. I believe they're all gone. There's vampires. And there's some other stuff. Gotta check it out.
Yeah, there are definitely other, like a lot of mythological creatures. There's definitely some fantasy situation going on, which I love. So I really enjoyed reading all of that because those are things that I typically read. I
got to the part where he couldn't compel humans. Or vampires can compel humans when they eat asparagus.
Did you know asparagus has some intense powers?
I was like, what?
If you eat it, a vampire cannot compel you.
Maybe it's a smell. I don't know. But he had to wait 24 hours to try again.
I know, oh my god. He's like, it has to be out of your system.
Yep.
I love it so much. So she just ends up eating more asparagus.
Yeah.
I was like...
But even Nadine was like,
so
why?
I know.
And he's like, I don't know. It's what it is. And she just sat there like, I just imagine her staring at him blankly and then like, okay.
But what I love about her, which kind of stands true to her personality, right? She ends up doing her own research. She's like, asparagus. What is asparagus? Like, what are the properties? What's the history? What's all the... And I feel like I learned a lot about asparagus. I wonder if it is accurate. I probably should do my own research, right? Fact check that stuff. But I feel as though, that makes sense why asparagus would keep her from being compelled. Made sense to me. I don't know. Yeah, so once they're getting close, and Camille's kind of like, hey, I'm weirded out by you guys being super chill. Like, what's happening here?
I thought you didn't like him. He's my guy.
I thought you didn't like him. And then... Yeah, she's like, it's fine, we're all good now. So then they end up going to prom because that's their senior year, like we said. So they do what all teenagers do in their senior year, which Nadine really didn't want to, but she ended up going anyways. But that is when all the real, like, really cool action scenes start to happen. There's some bloodiness stuff. There's some fights and gore and really interesting fight scenes, dynamic stuff. So it's pretty cool. I really like it. And also Vince ends up like teaching Nadine how to kind of defend herself because she is the chosen one.
Prom is where all hell breaks loose. They start going on the run. They get attacked. And I didn't think about it till now, but I'm glad it happened at prom because they officially finished high school. So she's a high school grad now that she's going off the grid. Yeah, it's pretty much her life gets turned upside down. And it's funny, but at the same time, like an a-hole move from Vince. Like, they go on the run, and then when everything kind of slows down for a bit, he's like, Nadine, we never did finish that dance. And she's just like, seriously, dude? Like, my life is over. I gotta be on the run, get off the grid. and you're talking about this? And he's kind of like, well, yeah, that's all true, but what else are you going to do? Might as well enjoy the little things. So it's like he did not care at all.
This isn't the end of the world for him. And he's kind of like, listen, all that stuff is really horrible. And that's not like you're totally valid in feeling that way.
But did you die?
But, yeah, exactly. It's like when your parents, like, give you a bath and you're crying. It's like, yeah, but did you die? No, you're fine. No, I think he's just trying to kind of wake her up a little bit quicker because her life is kind of in danger. So he wants her to kind of be like, hey, get in the now because now is important. And, like, let's enjoy this moment because it's kind of all we're going to get because things are probably going to get bad real fast.
Read on, grab the book and find out because it does.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and be sure to check out The Darkest Side of the Moon by MC Ryder.